A few months ago, an Xbox 360 exploit was published online, and it was incredibly interesting because it worked just through software. As in, you didn't need to open the Xbox 360 up and do all kinds of soldering or hard mods like we've done with JTagging or reset glitch hacking, which, while it's become easier and more, straightforward, you still have to open it, solder to different points on the board, and it's not necessarily approachable for people who like doing soft mods. Well, the issue I had with this bad update, as it's called, this new exploit, is it was more of a proof of concept when it was published, because there were some pretty significant drawbacks. One, it took a while for it to initialize, sometimes like 20 minutes, and it was pretty unreliable. So you may wait that entire time and it just wouldn't work. But when it did, you could then run unsigned code, which means you could have your Xbox 360 start dipping into the field of homebrew. What was really cool is it works on the latest dashboard. So everything was there if we could get some of that stuff figured out when it comes to reliability and time to initialize. Well, guess what? A recent update that just happened like this past week or so seems to have improved on that significantly, to the point now where this might actually be something that a person can use and explore the world of homebrew somewhat reliably. And it's now to the position where I feel like we should be checking it out here on the channel, going over it. And in fact, I did that. That's what we're going to talk about here today. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. This isn't necessarily a video that I'm intending to have as a tutorial for it. More just my thoughts on the modification after going through it, and if it is something that just anyone can really approach and try out. I'll also leave the explanation and analysis to someone like MVG, who did a video on this already and kind of really turned me on to this whole thing. But I have a feeling he's probably going to look at it again with this update because it is quite substantial. But really what this comes down to is your ability to move files to a flash drive and then plug that flash drive into an Xbox 360. Like that's really it. That's all it takes. You don't have to open the system up or anything. In fact, I have this Xbox 360 Slim, which I think if you're going to do this, I would use probably this 360 Slim. It does work on any Xbox 360. You can use the oldest one that's out. You can use even that newer Xbox 360 Slim E model. But I think just in general, all this expandability, USB ports, the optical port on the back, the reliability, I think this Slim model is probably the best choice out of all of them. And once you have the system, make sure it is updated, that being the dashboard. Right now, it's running off of 17559. From there, though, there are two games that this exploit will work in tandem with. One being Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, which is unfortunately somewhat expensive online. The other, though, is what I would recommend, the Rock Band Blitz Trial. Apparently it works for the full game, but the trial is just up online. You can download it, a couple 100 megabytes, and that is what opens the door to using this bad update. And what all this came down to was me moving Rock Band Blitz Trial over to the USB with a couple of different tools, one being XE Unshackle, and that then allows me to point it at Aurora, which is the custom dashboard. So there is an entire file structure that you have to set up on that USB flash drive after allowing the Xbox 360 to format it so it can see it fine. And it didn't take more than maybe 10 minutes for me to set it all up. Again, what I'll do is there was a video that I saw that I thought was very well done. It just walks you through completely how to set up that flash drive. I'll have it linked down below in the description. And once I had that USB flash drive set up, I popped it into the Xbox 360 USB on the front, started the system up, went over to the Rock Band Blitz application, loaded it, at which point you press A when you get to the menu and it'll start the exploit. In fact, it says at the bottom, exploit. And then you kind of cross your fingers and hope that it launches within a reasonable amount of time. I say reasonable amount of time because it does still vary quite a bit. So I've had a few instances where it launched in 10 or 20 seconds. I had a couple where it went to 1.5 to 2 minutes. And then I had a few where it just froze completely. So this is still not a perfect exploit in the sense that you are getting into Aurora within a few seconds every time. So it's not on the level of an RGH modded Xbox 360 yet, but it seems like Originally, the belief was it was as good as it could get with where the 20-minute time and it being very unreliable. And now the community has kind of picked things up and just run with it. And here we are to the point where for this time, a minute or so, I find myself in Aurora. Now I can just start setting this up like my RGH modded Xbox 360. So I had to go and get Xbox 360 Disk to God. That allows me to just rip the games easily when I put them in the disk drive. It can take some time. You just have to let a bar fill up. But after that, you can scan and update. It'll pull any of the cover art from the internet for you. So it'll set it up, make it look really nice there. Kind of this grid-based carousel sort of. And I put a few 360 games on there. I also copied over some original Xbox games as, yes, there's an updated emulator that you can put on these systems. And I moved over some Xbox Live arcade games. This is all very, very easy stuff to do. There are guides for all of this as well. The big hurdle has been at this point getting to Aurora. So with all of that set up, let's go ahead and start it up from a cold boot and see how all of this plays out. All right, so here we go. We are going to do this in real time. So hopefully bad update cooperates a bit, which I'll get to that here in a second. But this would be the experience starting up. So first off, the USB stick is in the Xbox 360 Slim. This is not a reset glitch hacking like that. You start it up normally just like this. And once it signs in, we'll kind of go through the steps and how exactly it exploits the system here. Now, I've had good luck and bad luck with bad updates. So while I have had at times it move right over, so we'll just go into my games. And we'll just go right here to Rock Band Blitz that is on that USB flash drive. We'll go in here. So while I have had experience where it does just about immediately almost go into the bad update exploit, I have also had times where I just kind of leave it for a minute and a half, 2 minutes sometimes, and then it goes in. So we'll see maybe how much time I have to kill here with this. So we go in there, press A, running exploit. So again, kind of in real time, we'll see how this goes. And what we're looking for, which I also noticed on the front of the 360, you'll have like the different lights kind of illuminate depending. And oh, wow, never mind. That was very quick. Say it cooperated with me. Great. So this is the 360 though, that I did set up here. There's my CPU key, DVD key, which I'll have to blank those, but it also makes it very easy to get those, which is nice. So if you need those for any other mods or anything you're doing, you can get it just like that. So we'll press back. And what this will do now is kick me into Aurora, where you can see the setup that I have, because I've already gone through and done a few things for this, kind of set it up as how someone may over time, want to just drop stuff onto their homebrew hard modded Xbox 360. It's what I've done with my RGH Xbox 360 Slim, where I've just compiled a ton of games. But I kind of want to do a mixture here, okay? So I'll explain. One, there's no disc in the drive right now, all right? So you can see I've already ripped some Xbox 360 games. There's Most Wanted, there's Mortal Kombat Complete Edition, there's Peter Jackson's King Kong, which for some reason is actually quite more expensive, I'll say, than you would think for this situation. Then I also have some Xbox Live Arcade games, which I'll tell you now, the days of the Xbox Live Arcade were an amazing time. It allowed large publishers to be kind of creative with some of their releases because they didn't have to worry about taking the game and putting it in like a brick and mortar store. It's not like now where all these systems have digital storefronts and you can have an indie game drop onto the system immediately. Like when a presentation wraps up and it's there. It wasn't really like that. So it was really cool to see that and have some of these games just kind of pop up there on a whim. And yeah, you would see things like Alien Hominid or Trials HD or The Simpsons. The problem you ran into is these Xbox Live Arcade games have been delisted. Microsoft shut down the store, and it ends up being a whole thing around people argue back and forth about preservation. But I will tell you this. They are archived on the internet, so you can find them, and they move over fine on a USB flash drive and stuff. Otherwise, though, these games I have here, these original Xbox games, the Xbox 360 games, these are titles that I have on disc here in my collection, and you're able to just rip them to the system. So for the Xbox 360, I use, let me see. Here we go. I use the Aurora disk to God installer. That makes it very easy. It finds what you have in your disk drive, and then it goes ahead and just pulls it right to the folder that you have set up. I also have the homebrew store, which you can download. That comes from the Aurora repo browser, and the Aurora weather, just for fun, kind of. The Zifu spoofer does work for the original Xbox games because there is an added backwards compatibility for the emulation here. It's been updated, I think, up to 2021. So they're using the original Xbox emulator that's been improved for the Xbox One or the Xbox Series, and a lot of that stuff was moved over to the Xbox 360 here, which is really cool. So I moved over Path of Neo by just copying the disc to the 360 hard drive, and same with Simpsons Hit and Run, and they boot up fine. Like, you just play them. But even having things like Stranglehold, Need for Speed Most Wanted, again, King Kong, Mortal Kombat, these are all games that are just, they're not backwards compatible. So you need a 360. So it makes sense to have the system for something like this. And then, of course, I mentioned that homebrew store, which I did an entire video on that already. But it is a cool thing to have, because you go to it, and then you can kind of scroll through and take a look at all the different emulators. So if there's an emulator you want to get, you can run it on here, provided it's in the homebrew store, or you can get it off the PC and move it over USB stick. This just makes it incredibly easy. So you can see a number of emulators: Genesis, Super Nintendo. They have PPSSPP. You can try that. The thing with this is, my 360 I look at not necessarily as an emulation box, because I have plenty of those. When it comes to older systems, I look at it as a way to play Xbox 360 and, in a way, original Xbox, but certainly Xbox 360 games on the actual hardware, for the most part, how it was meant to be played, right? So it's just a cool thing to have that. You also have different homebrew games where people will make them for it. Flappy Bird's in there, I guess, if you want that. Pac-Man Colors is actually pretty cool. Quake 3. So there's some pretty cool stuff in here you can just kind of download and try out. Otherwise, though, this, to me, is awesome. Again, Bad Update didn't run that easily every time for me, but it's not as unwieldy as it used to be, to where you're talking, I don't know, 20 minutes sometimes, and then if it doesn't work, it just freezes after 20 minutes, and that's kind of it. It's awesome that more and more people can try these. I also have the GoldenEye remake that was never released. That's also archived very, very well on the internet, and that works fine here. So, like, I'll fire up, here, tell you what, I will fire up Simpsons Hit and Run. All right. Original Xbox logo. And then it'll go through and load the game up just like that. And you can go back to the Aurora menu very, very easily from here. I mean, at this point, we're kind of beyond the bad update, and this is just what you have with Aurora. And the whole point here is to get to that dashboard, that custom dashboard, without needing to open the system. And you can now do that. I'm just gonna let this boot up to the title screen here. Nice thing is, also runs off of the hard drive, so you can put an SSD in there. I've seen people mention that. I've tried it with a 360 homebrew system off of Aurora, and it does run faster. There we go. And you can just go right back to the Aurora menu, just Xbox Home. And there we go. The big thing this, though, is, of course, it's not persistent. Every time you turn the system off and turn it back on, you will have to go through the process of Rock Band Blitz to exploit to this. But provided it does keep getting better, as it kind of seems like it may, this is actually a pretty cool exploit to try out. If you've ever been curious about using homebrew, unsigned code, custom dashboard like Aurora on the 360, but didn't necessarily feel comfortable opening the system up, soldering wires, I mean, this is it. Maybe Bad Update gets to a point where it is incredibly reliable and it happens in seconds. Maybe it's just like how it happened for me here, but that's just a consistent thing, like every time you turn it on. But that would be super impressive. Your Stranglehold, awesome game. If you have never played Stranglehold before, you should. I recommend it. It's stuck in this generation. You could tell kind of by copyrights and other things here, so that makes it a little difficult. But this being a 2007 game, it has tequila time, slowdown, sort of like Max Payne bullet time stuff. But it's really fun. It's an action game that feels like it's from that generation, and it's a good time. Yeah, it is. I think the thing that is most impressive to me about Stranglehold is how destructible the environments are in the in the game. Like, you see bullets and stuff flying all over here. It looks really dramatic. It is very dramatic. And again, if you want to go back to Aurora, you can, there you go. You also have your temperatures down there too, so you can monitor again, there's a lot of stuff you can do here. So bottom line is, when I'm in Aurora like this, it's hard to tell between this Xbox 360 and my reset glitch hack Xbox 360, and that's actually a really cool thing. So let me know what you guys think about this one though down below. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.